Hot flashes, gone, with NUCCA Upper Cervical Chiropractic Care, a potential mechanism of how. Dr. Slagel and I discuss his research and more on the Upper Cervical Chiropractic Research Show. I've also done an interview and summary video you can find on the channel if you'd like to see that. Hi there, I'm Dr. Kevin Leach here with the Chiropractic Deep Dive Podcast, bringing you the most important research and information on conservative primary spine care, upper cervical chiropractic care, and traditional chiropractic care. These research reviews, interviews, and episodes are made for you, whether you're a medical doctor, patient, or concerned family member or friend. The goal of these shows is to bring awareness of the importance of taking care of our spine and the impact it has on our health and the hundreds of different health conditions it could cause without us realizing it. I'm really trying to bring value with these, so I'd appreciate commenting on the videos, hitting the like button, and sharing them with as many people as you can. You never know who might need to see it. And consider subscribing to the channel so you can see all the other episodes and videos coming out. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate your support. Now on to the show. Okay, welcome back everyone to the Upper Cervical Chiropractic Research Show. This is episode 12. I am Dr. Kevin Leach, and I'm here once again with Dr. Jason Slagel, author of today's research we'll be reviewing. So Dr. Slagel is a NUCCA doctor who practices in South Florida. Dr. Slagel has his level 1 NUCCA certification and currently working on his level 2. And he's the proud husband and father of 2 little boys and pregnant wife at home. Thank you for joining me again, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's great to be back.
Awesome. Good to have you, sir. So today's research review is titled Resolution of Hot Flashes in a 57-year-old female undergoing upper cervical subluxation-based NUCCA Chiropractic Care, the case report. And again, this is by Dr. Jason Slagel, published in the Journal of Upper Cervical Chiropractic Research, McCoy Press. So I know we were talking just before the recording here, Doc, about just why you wrote this up and the interesting findings. You want to just give us, again, an overview of what just what this is about?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is less of like me taking a stance, like I think this is what happened. It's more so like hey, something happened. Let's just take a look at it and sort of bring it to people's attention so we can all kind of keep an eye on this together and maybe put some ideas together. I mean, I have my theory, but I'm not married to my theory. So yeah, we can talk about that, but it's awesome. A little bit more ambiguous, I guess, and more of like we're just dipping our toes into it.
Hey, that's what research is for, right? So
yeah.
Hypotheses and asking questions and seeing what answers we could get. So why don't you give us just a little bit about a background about the hot flashes and just who has them and whatnot?
Yeah. So hot flashes are pretty benign, right? So like if you get hot flashes, you're not at like risk for death, or it's not a disease or anything. It's the most common symptom in the menopausal process. And some people view it as a problem. Some people view it as natural. That I think it's kind of up for debate, but it's interesting to me because the people who are affected classically, according to the research, people who are affected most by hot flashes are obese women, smoking women, and African American women. Okay, so the patient that I had whose hot flashes went away was Caucasian, fit and lean, and never smoked. Okay, so I'm thinking possibly if this same woman would have had the same misalignment, same subluxation, all that stuff, and I adjusted her, except for she had all those risk factors, then maybe the hot flashes wouldn't have went away, So it's just like there's all these questions that I have about it.
Got it.
But this lady was having 10 hot flashes a day, and after a few weeks, her hot flashes all stopped. She hasn't had any hot flashes since. So pretty interesting. Yeah.
So with hot flashes, you hear and we learn that it's hormonally related. you know, what
Yeah.
are your thoughts on, if it's hormonally related, why would the obesity, and again, I would have my theories too, obesity, smoking, and African American. The African American one is, I'm not sure about that one, but obese and smoking, those definitely affect hormones. But any ideas on on African American, why that would be more so?
I honestly have no idea.
Okay.
So
Okay. So but in the research that shows that's a risk factor.
yeah, for some reason it's a trend. It's a risk factor for some reason.
Got it. Okay. Well, why don't you give us just a little bit more history about your patient and tell us what happened?
Yeah. So she was, like I said, she was 57 years old, and she came to me for sciatic pain was her main thing. Hot flashes weren't really like, she didn't really, we talked like a little bit about it, but it wasn't really like a thing. She mostly came to me for sciatic pain.
Okay.
So at 6 weeks, her sciatic pain was at 50%, which is cool, pretty good improvement. And that's when she first told me at 6 weeks that her hot flashes were gone. I was like, hold on, wait, what? She was
And
like,
she never
yeah.
said anything about it prior.
No. And like, it wasn't her main concern. So it's not what we talked about, on her daily visits. So that one kind of blindsided me. And I had to start thinking through, like, what could be going on with that? Is it just a coincidence, which it very well could be? Or is it something, physiological that happened that allowed that to sort of balance back out and the hot flashes not happen anymore?
Before I forget, I want to interject with a crazy story I had about hot flashes when I was, let's see, this is probably.
Did your hot flashes go away? Is that what you're going to say?
No, my hot flashes did not go away.
Oh, so you
However,
still have them.
I had a patient, I want to say 8 years ago. He was an ex-captain of the police. So he was your alpha male, take no crap from anybody. He was having hot flashes. Several times a day. We're talking 15, 20 times a day. He had been to medical doctors, all kinds of people. And then he came again for neck pain or something. He came in the office, and he had neck pain or some other condition, but his like number 2 or 3 were these hot flashes that just nobody could figure out. And after the first adjustment, they were almost all gone. And then after the second one, never came back.
Okay.
And he was obviously happy, but he was angry because he was like, none of these doctors, none of these specialists, nobody I went to helped me out with this thing.
Yeah.
And then you moved this little bone in my neck and it helps.
It's funny.
Super
Dr. Leach, when I did my literature review, when I wrote up this paper, I didn't see that one. Did I miss it?
No. We didn't look. That's anecdotal. That's just a patient I had years ago. I didn't write it up or anything, but that's.
Oh man, that's too bad. Because I feel like these things happen, but then people are just kind of like, meh, like, okay, cool, and then they move on. Yeah. If we were actually reporting these things, I feel like a lot of NUCCA docs have stories like that. Yeah. And it's like, okay, it's a conversation that needs to start happening, because
Absolutely.
the reason that I decided to write it up was because I think that this opens the door to a bigger conversation, like a more important conversation than hot flashes. Hot flashes are cool. If we can get rid of hot flashes, women everywhere will love us.
Right.
But the bigger idea with health and physiology is not with the hot flashes in particular, but with hormone regulation, right? And that's the thing that I was thinking through. Like, this seems like a peek through the door, and we need to open up the door and look what's going on with this. Can I go into like a possible mechanism?
Absolutely.
So I don't know if have you read this book, The Downside of Upright Posture?
No, but Dr. Evans and I have discussed it, and it's on my reading list.
Okay, bump it up higher on your reading list, because it absolutely blew my mind. And then Michael Flanagan's second book, this one's super dense and super heavy.
Nice.
Craniospinal hydrodynamics in neurodegenerative and neurological disorders. Okay, so Both of them mind blowing. Okay, so based off of that stuff that Michael Flanagan wrote up, I'm thinking something along these lines. The head and neck gets shifted out of place. There's the misalignment, the subluxation, and it affects hemodynamics and hydrodynamics in the head and in the spine. So CSF flow and blood flow in and out of the head is affected, which is easily shown in any study. So then what happens with a baby, let's say, whose the CSF is not draining out of the head properly, is the head starts to swell out because the skull isn't fused. We call that hydrocephalus, okay, or water head, right? So then with an adult, the skull is fused. So instead of that pressure pushing the skull outward, it actually starts crushing the brain inward. Okay, so we call it in an adult where that's happening over time chronically, we call it normal pressure hydrocephalus. Right. Okay, so it's a type of hydrocephalus, but it's normal pressure. So what happens is inside the skull, if you would measure the pressure inside the skull at any point, it'd be normal pressure hydrocephalus. But there's more and more CSF being backed up in the head, and it's crushing the brain in. Now, depending on where that happens to impact the brain is where you're going to start to see symptoms showing up. Okay, so what Michael Flanagan is saying is that this is probably linked to things like dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that, right? MS is a big one, the demyelination. Yeah. So all of those things, probably this is one of the players going on. And I'm thinking that with hot flashes, this could also be a player going on because you have the pituitary and the hypothalamus controlling and regulating hormones. And if that normal pressure hydrocephalus happens to be impacting that area of the brain, you're going to have dysregulation of hormones, and they're going to be just like, going haywire, and then you have hot flashes and things like that. So I'm like leaning towards that type of an explanation, which I think could be a really cool investigation for people to do that are much smarter than me and have really crazy, awesome technology that can measure those things.
Right. And I love as much as probably you love the idea and knowing the mechanism of this. However, I think a really big takeaway potentially for any woman suffering with hot flashes is that, hey, we're not saying it's going to get rid of them, but it potentially could. Yeah. NUCCA Care, right? Or upper cervical chiropractic care.
Yeah. I mean, if a woman would ask me if I can help with their hot flashes, my response would be, NUCCA has helped with hot flashes before. Why not again?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. The other explanation that I think is a lot more simple that most NUCCA docs would tend to gravitate towards is more of an explanation of like biomechanical stability. So if the person has their head and neck shifted out of place and it's causing a certain posture pattern to develop in their body, then their energy resources have to go to staying upright. And once you get this fixed and their body straightens up, they have all that extra energy to go towards healing in their body and regulation and stuff like that, which is also a good theory. I just wonder if that's all of it,
Well, and that's the traditional chiropractic, because traditional chiropractic is our neuromusculoskeletal system, right? The chiropractic subluxation in our spine is going to affect the nervous system. That's traditional chiropractic. But as we've seen lately with Dr. Rose's, with Flanagan's, all these authors and all these researchers, we're seeing that when we correct the upper cervical spine, it's not just the neurology that we're affecting the hemodynamics and the hydrodynamics, just like you said. Dr. Evans and I have done a lot of this research review on this show already. And so it's interesting to think about both of those possibilities. Could it be one? It's potentially both, but neurologically speaking, we could potentially find the pathways of, what could be going on with potential pressure on the brainstem or disafferentation from the upper cervical joints. Like there could be a multitude of explanations, which further research could identify.
Yeah. The bigger picture with the hormone regulation thing is think of all the other different hormone issues that people have. a lot of different hormone imbalances and things. And like there's all kinds of secondary and tertiary conditions created from all of that. So
Absolutely.
if we could pinpoint certain trends in hormone conditions that we can consistently help with, I think it's just better for everybody. But we haven't
Absolutely.
really started down that road yet as far as research with upper cervical, especially NUCCA. We haven't started with that research into hormone regulation as a result of the correcting
Right.
that subluxation yet.
Right. You know, it's interesting. Again, this is completely anecdotal, not in the research, but another patient that we had around that time, he reported that he had tried everything to lose his last 5-10 pounds that he could never get rid of. And he said NUCCA Care was finally the thing that helped him lose that. And you think like any regular person's going to say, what? Like how
Right.
does adjusting the neck
Yeah.
help you to lose fight? Like, but it has to do with hormones. And they understand
Yep.
now the way that you work out, the way that you challenge your body has an effect on the hormones, the way that you eat, the frequency of eating, all these different things that have an effect on your hormones, right? Two of the risk factors, smoking and obesity. Obesity, obviously, there's a metabolic issue there. That's going to affect hormones. And smoking with all the toxins could potentially affect hormones and all kinds of different things. And
Yep.
not to mention the stimulant of the nicotine and how that's going to affect cortisol in the body, et cetera. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
a lot
Yeah.
of different things here.
Yeah. So if
Cool.
this is a
Any
piece of the puzzle, that needs to be fixed, then we got to figure out, how this works so that we know who we can help the best, and then we can
right.
get them the care that they need.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about too. I try really hard to I try hard to make sure I don't overpromise things to my patients. It's real easy when they come in, oh, I have neck pain, oh, I have headaches, oh, I have, all these things that we've helped out with so much to be like, yeah, like we can help you. It's always that caveat to say, if your headaches are related to the misalignment in your spine, then obviously we're going to help because that's what we're going to get corrected.
Yep.
So it's always thinking about getting to the cause of why the body is having these symptoms or conditions or problems. And that's why that caveat statement of, can we help? Well, we've helped before, but we don't have an exact test to show that beforehand, yes, this NUCCA Care will help. Yes, this upper
Yeah.
cervical care
I
will
would
help with
say,
your hot flashes. It's like,
yeah.
well, we can see if you have a misalignment and then we can correct it and
Yeah.
see if you get better.
Yeah. How
So,
cool would it be if we had like an upright MRI or something that measured where measured the hydrodynamics, so that we could see,
see
oh, look,
exactly where.
that's where it is. Yeah. So then when we correct this, we should see that flow improve and we'll see it get better. That'd be
Yeah,
super cool.
that
Okay.
would be phenomenal, and it's possible. I mean, technology gets better and better every year. There's Blair docs out there that have cone beam CTs in their office. Like, who could have imagined 10 years ago that would happen? So imaging is
Right.
getting more available. It's getting
Yeah.
more affordable for smaller clinics to have. So the potential there is pretty good. Maybe not
Yeah.
immediately, but eventually.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this paper just starts to spark some interest in it. Like, I understand this is like one case study, and like it doesn't really answer a whole lot of questions. It's
Of
just
course.
like hey guys, look at this. This happened. Cool. Let's look
Yeah.
at it. So
Yep.
I hope that it sparks interest and can grow, grow and develop what we do so that we can, get the right people in the door.
Absolutely. I hope it can definitely spark that research, but I hope that it can actually spark those patients that potentially are significantly suffering from hot flashes. It doesn't sound like, oh, that's a big deal, but sometimes it's really bad. And, women are out to dinner with their friends or family and they have this hot flash and they're just profusely sweating and it's embarrassing, like it could really help the quality of life. So yes, this is a case study of n=1. There's anecdotal stuff, but anybody who's desperate enough that sees this, they could potentially say, hey, I'm giving it a shot. Like, I've tried everything else and nothing's helping. I'm going to give this a shot, and it could potentially help them. So just if we could help that one person, that's worth it.
Yeah, and I would also say that if anybody has any other theories or ideas or possible mechanisms, let me know, because I'm really interested in trying to parse out what exactly is going on here. So that's an open
Absolutely.
invitation to anybody.
Absolutely. Yeah, we could get a conversation going in the comment section below. That would be pretty cool, for sure. Any last thoughts on a summary about your patient here, Doc?
That's all I got. I just wanted to, make that case known. So here we are.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you sharing your research and writing this up and taking the time. You don't get, rewarded for this kind of stuff, but you put the effort in. So I appreciate it. We appreciate it. And I'm sure the people that this is going to help do appreciate it as well.
Absolutely, man. This was fun. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Absolutely. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right. Okay, that's it for this episode. So what did you learn that fascinated you or surprised you about the research today? Join or start the conversation in the comments below. Hey, thanks so much for watching. To watch more of our research shows, click or tap the screen right there. To subscribe to the channel, click or tap the screen right there. Until next time, I'm Dr. Kevin Leach with the Upper Cervical Chiropractic Research Show, bringing awareness to conservative primary spine care, upper cervical chiropractic care, and traditional chiropractic. Until next time, take care and take care of your spine. It's the only one you'll ever have.